Hello, everybody. My name is Jalen Kane, and today I'm going to be talking about the story behind my name. So, my full name is Jalen A. Kane, and the name that I chose to focus on out of those three names was the last name Kane. The reason I chose to focus on this one was because I know that Kane has a lot of origins and history, especially in the Bible, and that's the first time that I learned about my name or heard of the name Cain was from a story in the Bible. And so it's also spelled the exact same way as Cain in the Bible, and the story of that name in the Bible is of Cain and Abel, who were the children of Adam and Eve, and Cain ended up killing his brother Abel in the story. But so yes, my last name is spelled C-A-I-N, and I thought this project was very interesting only because me being Black in America, a lot of us don't even have our true last names due to slavery and us coming over from Africa and us, being property of our slave owners, and they didn't really give us names, and so we kind of made our names up, or we just followed the names of the slave owners. And so it's very interesting having a project focused on the history of a name when you're really not even too sure about your history with the name. So I want to start by saying this quote: Cain is a boy's name of Hebrew origin and is strongly tied to the biblical figure Cain, the firstborn son of Adam and Eve in the book of Genesis. According to Hebrew Bible, Cain is infamous for killing his younger brother Abel. And I got that information from the bump. So growing up, I always heard about the story of Cain and Abel. I honestly kind of got made fun of for having the last name Cain because of that story in the Bible. However, I don't associate my last name with that story. I just think it's interesting that that is my last name. Having the last name Cain for me means something totally different than that story. My dad always taught us to be very proud of our last name and very proud of where we come from and very proud of being a Cain. And I always felt like my name held weight, even though it didn't necessarily hold any weight. That's just how my dad brought us up and how he wanted us to feel about our last name. He wanted us to feel confident having that last name because he probably knew a lot of the slack that would come with having it due to us going to Catholic schools, and people are very closely associated with that name in that type of arena. So I associate my last name with confidence and strength and courage, and that's what my dad instilled in me. So what's really interesting about this project is that 1 year before I was born in 2002, my family actually took a trip down to South Carolina to a plantation where a man by the name of William Cain housed his slaves and had his slaves. And they did this for the purpose of finding out the origins of their last name and finding out really where we came from. And so the man Henry Cain, he was a slave owner in 1848, and that is where we can last track our name, which is so interesting. I wish I would have been born at that time to have been there for that experience, because I bet it was pretty interesting and pretty heavy. But I definitely did hear about that story in my childhood a bunch of times, and I really feel blessed to know, even if that's not my real last name that my family has, back down to our history in Africa, it is a blessing to be able to trace it back somewhere. And it's very interesting to know that we have, the actual person who we got that last name from. So through passed down books and stories, we were able to locate our relationship to that man. So in our family, the name is kind of interesting. Like I said, my dad always had us carry a pride about having that last name. And I feel like it's pretty concurrent with everyone that carries that last name in my family. We're all very musically inclined, intellectual, and reserved. And I think that's very interesting, again, bringing back slavery, because a lot of our people back then were musically inclined, intellectual, even though they didn't have the capacities to be, and naturally reserved due to their situation. And so it's very interesting to me that I have some of those traits, and those traits have been passed down in my lineage. So in conclusion, the name Kane has many different origins and stories behind it, one that we're all pretty much familiar with. And like I said, it's just very interesting to me how African Americans don't really know our true last name, but we have the names that were given to us. And that's why in America you see a lot of Black people with the same last names, and some of the most common ones are Williams, Jones, Brown, Smith. I'm sure everybody can think of a Black person with one of those last names, and it's all traced down to slavery. So this project was very interesting, and it allowed me to kind of dive deeper into my family history and really lock down that story and where the last name Kane comes from. Thank you.